working in reverse order. Let's just have a quick look at the healing and the meditation energies. Basically, I'm waiting to hear from anybody that can cohere with things that I'm coming up with in my work and in my life in general. As for the human factor, although I haven't listened to the news much over the last week, the standoff between Russia and Europe and the United States is pretty clear, I think. And it's a bit like, I don't know, school playground sort of standoff of bullies. Very strange. Come on, guys. Life's better than that. As for volcanoes, well, that was actually quite disappointing, to be honest. There was a bit of activity in Guatemala and Ecuador, but nothing really major to report about. Weather-wise, we had the polar vortex that dropped down to the United States, getting down to the Gulf states, a little bit lower than what we might have thought was going to happen. Then we had the low that built up on the 27th between Greenland and the UK, exactly as said, and shot across Central Europe, clipping the Pyrenees Mountains where we are, with some minor damage really, but very windy all the same. Now let's get on to earthquakes. This was quite interesting. Second time round really I'm doing the earthquakes, and I'd like to go through what actually happened. So we're going to take it from the start of the solar flare, and we're going to run it right through up to 3 or 4 days ago. So you're looking at the moment is a altered GMLS chart. So we've got the Pacific Ocean, which is slightly to the right hand side, and Africa is central. It's just going to give us a view of how the energies actually flow and ebb between the lines and etc., and how they sort of force on each other. So let's just have a quick look at the earthquakes. Okay, we had the X flare go off on this date here on the 25th at 0:49 UTC, but this earthquake here was at 1 hour later. Then we had the one after that, which was in the southern China section. So we had this energy following up through the blue line, and that was from the collision from the acceleration from the green line, and also you saw it's going to get on the blue line as well. So as it came up through here, we had the earthquake around about here, just before the conjunction with the yellow line, and then up here to the right, it's mainly the red line that's getting a bit shunted by the blue line. The other interesting earthquake at that time as well was the Carlsberg Bridge, which I called the Carlsberg Bridge in the last one, but that was the ending of that whole section there between the light blue line, the yellow line, the green and red, which is up in this section here, and the interaction between the red and the light blue line. Next one is basically, I did say there was going to be a 6.2 on the time of basically midnight on the 26th, going through to 2 o'clock in the morning on the 27th UTC, and then we've got a 6.1 in exactly where I said it was going to be, the Alaskan Ridge, but it was a little bit earlier than I thought, which was the result of basically the increase of earthquakes going up onto the Alaskan Ridge and then popping over. The thing that was quite funny before that is that, do you remember we had that quake in the Carlsberg Ridge just at the start of the solar storm? Look what's happening here. Look, we got back up to Oklahoma again, 3.2. It's a little bit less obviously that we get them down in the Carlsberg Bridge, but it's to the southern hemisphere. It's going to be taking a lot more of a racking. But you can see also in this section here is Puerto Rico as well starts kicking off, and this is simply because the blue line that's crossing the red is taking up a little bit more importance now in that section there, and it's gradually pulling the earthquakes out to the Caribbean region. And we'll actually see this a little bit later on as well, how this actually develops. Here's another one here in the Virgin Isles, and it starts really hammering in the Virgin Islands and all that sort of thing. Still get a grouping by the Alaskan Ridge as per usual. 28th that there could be an earthquake in this section here, just left, really, to be honest, of the Philippines, which had a 4.9 in this section here on the 28th, and this one whacked off at on the 28th, in the early parts of the morning of the 28th. But the funny thing as well you'd see here is this 5.3 in the mid-Atlantic, southern mid-Atlantic ridge, and if you can see, that southern mid-Atlantic is around about this section here, the crossing section of the pink line and the yellow line, which is the yellow line taking on more and more importance. It's creating these earthquakes that's slightly up here south of Japan into northern China and into southern China and northern India. But as we go on, we can still see it starts hitting the Caribbean and still the Alaskan Ridge, and this is what I thought was going to happen. I thought these two were going to come together here, where we've had a 4.5 on the China border here, and that was on the 28th in the morning with UTC time, and there's also the 5.1 of North India, which is pretty much what I said. I did state on Facebook that there would be coming one earlier than that was actually 6.7, 6.8. And I was saying it was going to be in this region here. Keep that in mind for a little bit later on. But I did state in my Facebook page that there will be a build-up of a shiver that comes along starts in South America and runs up through the Americas, across the Alaskan Ridge, and it will gradually meet some earthquakes coming up through Philippines and etc. to create that 6.7, 6.8 in that region there. We did have a 6.2, which, to be honest, was a complete and utter shock to me. I didn't think it was going to be that strong at the start of it, and that sort of hit out in that section there, just by the blue line. It got carried up by the red line, the energy, and creating the rest of these blockages up by the top of the Alaskan Ridge. Then we have the start of this, these earthquakes coming up from the run up through the Philippines, as I said, eventually hitting in Taiwan. Still see the build up over here in this section here, Banda Aceh in Indonesia. As it's coming up through here, you're getting the build up across the Alaskan Ridge, and then the Alaskan Ridge just starts getting hit by more and more swarms, shivers coming up through South America. As I stated, you've got Oklahoma, I think, hitting off again, transfer from the Carisburg Ridge, and that build-up continues and continues until we get the precursor down in the 4.8, and eventually it gets hit after the hit by a 6.5 on March the 2nd. So I was actually 3 days out on that prediction. And even on the Facebook, I was actually sort of, must be about sort of 5 days out. But it did actually follow the same sort of predictions that I thought it was going to do. The magnitude, I said 6.7, 6.8, so it's slightly less than that. I think the mechanics are pretty good. It's just my timing now. I really need to get this whole system here, need to get it all put down onto some sort of animation that I can play with. So anybody who does do animation out there, I would be more than happy to pass some crazy afternoons trying to work out the vibration of this planet and its interaction with the heliosphere and the other planets that are around us. I think it's very, very feasible. And see what the vibrations have been doing and seeing if we can come up with a prediction on earthquakes over the next 3 or 4 hours. You can see here I've got USGS map up here, and it gives you a day of the earthquakes. We are now 20 earthquakes in total, 19 quakes in the map area. and we've just had one rumble off of Puerto Rico. But if we start at the very beginning, we've got Costa Rica, the light blue line. Start hammering on the red. This starts a run up across California, which dies down in California. Then you get another runoff, which is from the green line, which is heading this direction from east to west. It hooks up onto the blue line, which then runs it up into Indonesia. Because it died down in California, Chile decides to kick in another little run up the system, comes up through California, gets hit and pulled away by the yellow-blue line again, the light blue line again. It runs into Texas. This, although took a bit of punch out of the Alaskan Ridge jump, it still managed to get through, which signals another takeoff of the South American ripple up through the west coast of all the Americas. And as that first one, that Alaskan 5, went off there, it met the vibration coming up through this section here to meet up here, creating a 5.4. We then get the runoff again across the blue line, minor tremors and a minor flip off of the Alaskan Ridge, not making it through. The Indonesian running back down through to the blue line, stopping at the blue line for conversion at that point. South America not happy with this, therefore they've just kicked off another one from Mexico, which then ran all the way up to Alaska, didn't make the ridge across, and then we got the ripple back down from the blue line, in which hooked up and run up the pink line to Fuji, and then we just had Puerto Rico. So if you're looking at it, the blue line, the light blue line, is looking very strong at the moment, and I would have thought you're going to get a first earthquake in this region here, where you're going to where the blue and the light blue and the green line mix. So I think you'll get one there. You're looking at probably not a heavy one, between I think 4.85, and then you will get followed by a slightly bigger one, 5.5, down in this sort of region here. I would have thought that's going to be happening over the next I would have thought next sort of 4 or 5 hours, but as you've seen, I'm not very good at my timing at the moment, so we'll see that. Anyway, that's all a bit of fun, and we'll have to watch that and see how it flows out. So all in all, I'm not too disappointed with that, although my timing was shot to pieces. I managed to get certainly the 6.2 on the Alaskan Ridge, I was very happy with, and the outcome of the other earthquake was up in southern Japan, slightly off to the east of where I said it was going to be. So I was actually chuffed with that, really, to be honest, quite chuffed. I certainly think we nailed the human factor, the way they play the game out in the media and through everything else that is bombarded against the human race is so obvious these days. But anyway, not really worth wasting time on. The weather, still like to get my head around that a little bit more, but I think I'm going to be opening the doors of the healing factor and the energies a little bit more in the future news. So if you've enjoyed yourself, if you enjoyed it, please feel free to subscribe and share it with who you like. Next video coming out will be the ebb and flow part 2, concerned with auras and chakras and how the vibration affects us and goes through us. So whatever you're doing, make sure you enjoy yourselves. Alright.